Yeah, my husband and I saw a little clip on ESPN on speed golf. We've literally been able to travel the world doing it. It's been really neat. I'm fortunate enough to currently be ranked #1 in the world. And it's also really helped my perspective on golf. Just focus on getting the ball in the hole and the fewest amount of shots without a lot of fanfare.
Dave Bolger here, and welcome to Had I Known, a show that explores the journeys of some of the most interesting members of the Hamilton College community. This week's guest is Lauren Cupp, class of 2007. Hey there, you're back. You came back for another one. Thanks for that. Or maybe this is your first one. Hi, welcome. You're gonna love it. You are gonna love it. If this is your first time, this part of the show is where I find some topic to talk about, and then I try and connect that into shamelessly plugging the show's website, hadiknown.buzzsprout.com, the show's social media, Had I Known Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where I remind people that the show is not only available every Sunday morning on WHCL-FM in Clinton, New York, but also on all your favorite podcast platforms, and where I remind people that they should subscribe, like, follow, love, comment, rate, whatever it may be. Give the show some love if you enjoy it. If you don't, maybe just stay away from the comments. And then after I do all that, I introduce the guest, and then you hear the conversation with the guest. But before I do that, I want to plug someone else's accomplishment. Congratulations to Mike Barlow, class of 1975, for the launch of his podcast. Mike recently launched Paid by the Word, Conversations with Writers and Editors. Mike is an award-winning journalist and a writer, and each episode he talks to writers. So if you have an interest in writing, then you should check out Paid by the Word. The show delves into the work habits and techniques of professional writers and editors. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, if you're a current student looking to get into writing, boy, what a tool this is for you. Or maybe you're a writer yourself and just want to hear how others in your profession do things. Mike's got you covered. Paid by the Word. Get it wherever you get your podcasts. Congratulations and best of luck, Mike. Now, if you want to be like Mike, for you first-time listeners, this part here is where we have some advertising. Just bear with me a second. So if you want to be like Mike or me, and you're interested in starting your own podcast, well, let me tell you about Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. Your show can be online and listed in all major podcast directories like Apple, Spotify, Google, and more within minutes of finishing your first recording. They'll get you a great-looking podcast website, audio players that you can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening, and tools to promote your episodes, and so much more. Join over 100,000 podcasters like me and Mike already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Follow the link in the show notes to let Buzzsprout know that this show sent you, and you're going to get a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan. And you're going to help support this show in the process. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and the team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. Go ahead and create something great with Buzzsprout. All right, let's get into this week's show. A lot of golf talk this week. Lauren Cupp, class of 2007, and the head coach of the men's and women's golf team at Hamilton. But that's not the whole story. How about this? She founded the women's golf team at Hamilton. Already a two-sport athlete at the school, she wanted to play on the golf team. Problem was, there was no golf team for women. So Lauren went ahead and created it. And now here she is, coaching both the women and the men's teams at the school. It's a great story. But in addition to that, she's a top-ranked golfer in New York State, and she is the #1 ranked speed golfer in the world. She is a world champion speed golfer. If you don't know what speed golf is, well, Lauren's going to tell us all about it in this conversation. Every week, we talk to incredible members of the Hamilton community with fascinating stories, and this is another one here this week. So settle in for some golf talk. Settle in for a history lesson on how women's golf came to be at Hamilton College, and learn a little bit about speed golf. Hope you enjoy my conversation with Lauren Cupp, class of 2007.
Hi, Dave.
Hello there.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. How's it going? Thanks for taking the time to talk with me today.
No, please, the thanks goes to you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
Hanging in there. I do have a little bit of a cold right now that I'm fighting off. My 4-year-old's in preschool 2 days a week, and he still, brings home all this stuff. You're like, come on, aren't you guys masked and things?
Right? Yeah, you thought that we were going to have to deal with that stuff anymore. With all
right.
This.
But it's all good. Other than that, how about with you?
I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, so I know the struggle of the 2-day-a-week schooling. We're in the same boat.
Yes, it is. It's brutal. We do. We've got one in first grade also.
Oh wow.
They keep. And we're all remote now. They keep pushing it back and pushing it back. Really? They give you hope, like, oh, maybe next week we'll open up.
I know. So a first grader, a 4-year-old, and then a newborn.
Yes. So we're busy.
You're in it.
Yes, we're in it. We're busy. It's I don't know. Bring out the craziness, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Congratulations on the newborn.
Thank you so much.
What was it like going through that process in the middle of a pandemic?
Yeah, pretty wild, actually. It was certainly wild at the hospital, etc. But I will say it's actually been quite a beautiful time to have a newborn. Without the pressures of having to go anywhere, it's really been pretty nice to be home with the family, which is a luxury I don't always have. So.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, I'm glad it's working out for you.
Yep.
So I've been having these conversations with both alums and staff members and faculty members, and I was very interested to talk to you because you're both. And it's interesting to hear people's Hamilton experiences, and you have quite a unique one in a lot of what you've done. So would love to get into it with you if you don't mind.
Sure, sounds great.
How did you end up at the school?
Yeah, so I grew up right down the road in New Hartford, about 15 minutes from Hamilton. I'm the oldest of 5, so had a tough time leaving my younger brothers and sisters at home, but certainly wanted to attend a good school, good academic school, and Hamilton gave me the opportunity to play 3 sports, which a sport every season, which was pretty valuable to me because I couldn't choose which one I wanted to do. So yeah, that's how I ended up there as a student.
And what were those sports?
Yeah, I played volleyball, indoor and outdoor track and field, and started the women's golf team, which I now proudly coach. So
you started the team. What did that entail?
Yeah, so at the time there was no women's team at Hamilton. I thought it was something that would be valuable for Hamilton to have. I was a little bit of a late bloomer in terms of golf. As I mentioned, I played other sports and we're pretty passionate about that. Kind of quickly realized that I was going to need that competitive vibe after competition and after sports were done for me at Hamilton. So, I got more into the golf, which my dad introduced me to as a kid. And, decided I should try to start a team. So started the club team at Hamilton, and was fortunate at that time. At that time, there weren't a whole lot of Division III women's programs in the Northeast. Now there's, 3-4 times what there was even 15 years ago. Started the team, was able to jump in some tournaments and, recruit a few more to join the craziness with me. And we would just kind of hop in my car and travel wherever there was a collegiate tournament, play for the weekend and come back.
So you just, the call went out and you just had to go around recruiting, find women who wanted to play golf?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you know that there was an interest early on, or you just said, I'm going to go see what I can find?
A little bit of both. I figured there was an interest, certainly at Hamilton, where, a lot of people play golf, even if it's with their dad, and maybe wanted to learn more. And that's not unlike when they started the actual golf program. We didn't have a recruiting season. It was just, you need to find 5 girls on campus to play golf to have a season. I sent out an all-campus email. I got 4 responses. So I roped my poor dear sister, who was not a golfer at the time, but a freshman at Hamilton, into doing it. And she actually ended up loving it by year 4. She was our MIP. And had a great experience doing it. But we started small. I mean, it was certainly like a clinic in the beginning. I remember going out there and just trying to finish 18 holes. We were trying to finish and keep score and learn the rules and all that. And now we're one of the most competitive in one of the most competitive conferences in the country, and we compete very well. So it's come a really long way in a very short amount of time, which has been really exciting.
You must have immense pride in that, just to see it from its literally its beginnings to where it is now, and your fingerprints all over it. That's incredible.
Well, thank you. It's come a long way, and as I said, something I'm really passionate and proud about.
Now, I was involved in a club sport when I was a student, and it was an established club sport. It was rugby. So we were already a member of a league. There was an infrastructure in place. And even with that, it was still a challenge to find fields and make sure you had the funding. And you mentioned getting in your car and drive and get yourselves to these games and so forth. I can't imagine what that was like for a new club, having to find teams to play and having to find where to go. And what was that like?
Yeah, I was fortunate that I had amazing people at Hamilton, amazing connections at Hamilton that helped me through that. Professor Morgan, I don't know if you know her. She's a French professor, but an avid golfer. And Professor Hagstrom, who's our assistant coach now. Dave Thompson, who was the athletic director at the time, and now is very active in club sports and was at that time as well. All kind of jumped on board with me and helped me through that. Professor Morgan had 4 or 5 of us down to her parents' house in Florida. The same thing, just kind of a crash course for some of the girls in golf. And so I was lucky. I had some help and still have some help along the way. And
then I know little about competitive golf, particularly, collegiate and team competition. That's a whole other element of the game that probably a lot of people had to learn, right? It's not just going out on a weekend and whoever has the lowest score wins. There's a whole team element to it. And that was just on you as the player coach to teach people how to do that.
Yes. How to make the lowest score possible from where you are right now. Yeah.
You mentioned late bloomer in golf and, was just doing it as a way to keep active in the spring. I can't imagine then you envisioned then coming back to school to coach the team. What was the plan coming out of school?
Yeah, coming out of school, I did want to coach.
Okay.
Didn't really care what sport, but I knew I wanted to coach. Wasn't sure how I was going to make a living doing that. And again, I wanted to stay local. So I decided I would go get my master's in education, and that would allow me to both teach and coach. So I did that for a long time. I taught, in Utica, and then got a job teaching second grade down in Clinton, where I was teaching or coaching high school sports as well. I coached the varsity volleyball programs at RFA and at Clinton, and really found that I love doing that. And then I got a really cool opportunity at Hamilton to be the assistant track coach. So I did that for a year, loved that. And then jumped on board with the golf when they first started the women's team. And that was obviously pre-kids, where I would teach during the day and then go over to Hamilton, coach until dark, leave on Fridays after school, and get on the road and drive the team wherever we were going that weekend, come back late Sunday night, start all over again. But that really gave me the opportunity to try it out and realize that I could maybe make a career out of it.
Interesting. And now coaching both men's and women's golf team. Were there any struggles, or have you had any challenges as a woman coaching a men's team?
Yeah, I get asked that question quite a lot.
Sure you do.
It feels quite natural to me, to be honest.
That's great.
I mean, I love golf. I love athletics. I love Hamilton. So I've got a lot in common with people on both teams, with players on both teams. In terms of differences in coaching the two teams, there's not a whole lot. I really try to kind of cater to individual needs and not be gender specific, but it's been really fun. I mean, I alternate weekends, so I travel with the men's team one weekend, women's team the next, which gives a little variety and perspective, which is neat. But I'm very fortunate. I just have an awesome group of young men and women that really allow me to be family to them, and they're certainly family to me. So it's worked out nicely so far.
That's great. What's the role of a coach while a tournament's going on? You think of a coach yelling out plays and X's and O's and so forth, but I don't imagine that that's the role of a coach in a golf tournament. Is that right?
Yeah. In college, it's quite active.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's really fun. I mean, you can really do anything, give any advice. You can do everything but carry the clubs,
wow.
Which I wouldn't do anyway. They can carry their own clubs. But you can give all sorts of advice, from yardages to clubs. You can go on the greens and read putts.
Oh, wow.
You can walk with athletes for 3 holes, one athlete for 3 holes, or you can stand on a par 3 and watch all 5 go through. So it's neat. You really get the opportunity to understand how they're thinking out there, which is neat. That's a question I ask a lot out there. What are you thinking? Why are you making that decision? How are we going to make the lowest average score possible from where we are right now? Not where we were, now that we're in the trees, now not where we were on the tee box. And so really get the opportunity to kind of get in their heads a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is,
well, I was going to say that a lot of that when you're on the course, a lot of it is so mental, right? So then it's about being the right sort of counselor for them in the moment versus judging their swing. Yeah,
you're absolutely right, Dave. It's a lot of rubbing the temples out there, that's for sure. And you have to really know your players. There are some that if you were to walk with them for 3 holes, every conversation would be about golf and what we're going to do on the next shot and the flight of the ball. And whereas there are others that really need you to take their mind off of it for a few minutes and talk about something else while you're walking to the ball, and then refocus for the 30 seconds before you hit the shot. That really comes down to, to knowing your players and what they need and how they perform their best.
And then you have to keep tabs on how everyone is performing around the course. So does that mean bopping around from hole to hole and trying to make sure you're on tabs what's going on? Which requires a feat of athleticism in and of itself to cover ground across the course.
That's right. Got to be in shape.
But as I understand it, that's actually not a challenge for you, because I've been reading about this speed golf endeavor that you've taken up. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So this has been really really neat, really worldly, life challenging. A few years ago, or I don't know, now we're going back 6-7 years ago. My husband and I saw a little clip on ESPN, and he's a professional golfer as well, on speed golf. So it's pretty neat. You combine your golf score and your time in minutes to play 18 holes, and that's your score. We've literally been able to travel the world doing it. We've been to New Zealand, We did a reality TV show in South Korea, which was an experience in itself. We went to Japan last year. We've been to England, and certainly all over the U.S. playing in the World and U.S. Championships, and it's been really neat. I'm fortunate enough to currently be ranked number one in the world in it, and it's really given me a lot of opportunities that I didn't think I would ever have to really travel the world, and it's also really helped my perspective on golf as well. I mean, I think there becomes a certain point where you just have to be an athlete and get the ball in the hole. And speed golf has really taught me how to not overthink things, and just focus on getting the ball in the hole in the fewest amount of shots without a lot of fanfare.
And so the clock is always running. So if you take too long reading a shot or setting up a shot, that's ends up being a negative for you. So how do you balance the reading the shot, getting the shot right versus, or you just get up there and hack and go?
Yeah, there's a lot of really dorky nuances in it, but yeah, I mean, it certainly is a learned skill. I mean, I really try to think about it as I'm running up to the ball, what club I may want to hit. And I mean, the good thing is you don't have that many clubs in your bag because you're trying to run quickly. So you can have up to 7 clubs. I usually bring 5 or 6 depending on the course. So there aren't that many to choose from like there are in slow golf. But yeah, and then just no practice swings. It's put the club down, take one look at the target and swing. Mm-hmm. And, as I said, there's a lot of kind of time-saving things you have to think about. For example, you can't put the bag on the green. So you have to, but it's too costly to leave the bag off of the green and to putt out.
Back and go get it. Yeah, right,
yeah. So you have to find a way to putt with your bag. And I putt with it kind of backpack style, and that I have one strap that I kind of wrap around on my back and putt with it that way. But a lot of people putt one-handed or have a clip on their belt loop or, things like that. And so, yeah, there are a lot of kind of interesting nuances, as I said, to think about, to save time, but while still playing good golf. And, the best in the world can do that. I mean, shoot right around par in under an hour.
Under an hour. Wow. So you can't go out to a country club on a weekend and just play a normal round of golf. It must drive you absolutely insane. A 4 hour plus round of golf is just unheard of for you.
You're right. It does, especially at first. When I first started doing it, I thought, this is really boring. Yeah, out here waiting for everybody else to hit their shot. But yeah, it's kind of become 2 different athletic endeavors in my mind at the moment.
Sure. Is one thing weighted more than the other, time versus your score, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's just your score plus your time in minutes. Okay. Golf score is very valuable. You can't have a good score without a good golf score. So you certainly want to take your time. For example, to take your time to make a 4-foot putt is certainly worth it, because if you miss that putt, it costs you a minute essentially. Right. Because they're rated the same. So best at the elite level, the golf is really good.
Number 1 in the world. You mentioned you were in Japan. That was the World Championships that you won. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was the Japan Open, which was really neat. They absolutely love golf over there and love speed golf. And that was a really neat experience in that, it was broadcast, the whole tournament was broadcasted on one of their top stations. There were drones following you the whole time to capture it. A lot of people there, a lot of excitement around it, music playing, it was pretty neat. That's one of the issues we've had in the US is kind of how to capture speed golf and get it out to the masses, because it's pretty labor intensive in that you only go off in a one sum, you go off by yourself running, and and to follow the round is difficult without a lot of technology, which they had, which was pretty neat. And so that was really a cool experience to see over there how big speed golf is. And the same thing when we went to South Korea, we had no idea we were going to step off the plane and see ourselves on a billboard. It was kind of a overwhelming experience, but pretty neat as well. They love their golf, that's for sure.
And what was the reality show like?
Yeah, so that was interesting. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. There's a camera crew that came over here to kind of tape our life in a nutshell. And, they were coming in December. We said, our course is covered in snow. And they said, we'll come anyway. They didn't realize when they got here, there was 2 feet of snow. They're filming us running through the snow. And, I don't cook, but I was cooking some breakfast for the kids in the kitchen. But they kind of filmed a little snapshot of a day in the life of Wes and Lauren. So that was kind of out before we went over there. So people were kind of aware of who we were and
oh, wow.
what the show was, which again, we had no idea.
No idea.
We got there, a little bit of a language barrier, but
wow.
Yeah. So we competed against teams from other countries, 2-person teams from other countries. So we represented the US, but UK was there, Japan, so a few South Korea teams that were made up of some pretty famous both golfers and musicians, actors, actresses over there as well. So that was really, really, really neat. A once in a lifetime, we'll say.
I can't imagine what that does to your brain. You're in central New York, living your life, walking around, where you are, step off the plane in a foreign land and you're a celebrity. And then you have to come back home and cook the kids breakfast again.
That's right. You're still a mom and golf coach. Yeah. Right where you left off.
Your players have any idea how famous you are?
Oh, they had a viewing party, of course. They thought it was pretty comical, and I don't blame them.
And how long do you foresee your speed golf career lasting?
Great question.
As number one in the world, you gotta defend your crown for a while.
Got to keep going. I know. I got to get back going here after the baby, but. Yeah, again, that was kind of a nice time to take off, and that there weren't a whole lot of events happening because of the pandemic, the last year. But the World Championships are in Japan in November, so definitely hoping to get over there. And we host an event in Rome. We host the New York State Open here over the summertime. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to travel starting again soon.
And how many events would you typically play in a season?
Half a dozen or so.
Okay.
Half a dozen or so.
And has this taken over your other golf career? Are you no longer playing in, as you called it, slow golf?
Yeah, I play a ton of slow golf still too. Yeah, I do. I
competitively?
Yes, I do. Yep. Okay. Yep. I've won the New York State Mid-Am. I've qualified for the US Mid-Am a few times, which has been neat. And so I stay very active in that. I play in a lot of events, a lot of qualifiers in the summertime. And I'm very fortunate that I've got family close by and, that allow me to have the opportunity to play a lot of golf still, which is really awesome.
Do you have to fight the urge to start sprinting after you hit a shot when you're playing?
Sometimes, especially when you hit a bad shot. You want to go get it and recover. Don't want to think about it anymore.
Well, I think there are plenty of courses around here where I wish they would adopt a little bit more of the speed golf method so I can get home in a reasonable time after playing around.
That's right. Stay out of trouble.
Who's the better golfer? You whipping your husband's butt when you're out there together?
Oh, I'd like to say yes, but he's pretty good and competitive. But we have a lot of fun when we play. That's for sure. We have we own a little semi-private golf course in Rome, and we do an event every year called the Cup, Team West versus Team Lauren. We kind of started that. It's become really fun. So the members compete throughout the year in events to get on one team or the other, and then we have a big formal, a big revealing of the matches for the next day, and then we have a whole weekend of Ryder Cup type format. And Wes and I usually play a match too, which is fun, and so that's been a fun competitive event and something fun to do together in the late fall.
Well, that's great. Much has been made, the PGA and the USGA, maybe more so, trying to get interest in golf up and get people playing golf, pandemic aside.
Yep.
Do you feel in recruiting or in getting people to participate in Hamilton golf a decline in interest, or do those struggles hit the team at all?
Yeah, recently there's been a huge uptick,
Really?
and I mean within the last 5 years. Yeah, I mean the golf at the Division III level has gotten so competitive in such a short amount of time. I mean, just to give you an example, I mean, 6-7 years ago, if you broke on the men's side, if you broke 300 as a team, which is 4 scores, so 75 or lower for each guy on the team, or averaging that, you'd win the NESCAC championship every time. Now you've got to be under par as a team to have a chance. So it's gotten really competitive, and the golf is on both the men's and women's side is so good. It really is. It's so good. It's actually exciting. It's fun to be a part of.
What do you think's driving that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think there is a bit of an uptick in golf.
Gotcha.
I think the recruiting's more intense than ever for college sports in general. It starts earlier, and there are more athletes that want to play collegiate sports. But I do think there's been quite an uptick in golf and young people. And I don't think it's entirely pandemic related. I just think, there's been a few exciting things happening in golf, and the PGA and LPGA, and a few kind of rising stars, which is neat to watch. Tigers come back, where you can really see that these golfers are also athletes, which I think helps the younger.
And it's a lot, it can be a lot safer than some other team sports out there, which I'm sure parents help push that a little bit. And then I think specialization is such a trend in youth sports. So if you latch onto a sport, you kind of go all in on that one. And I wonder if that's driving some of it as well. Do you see that with, I mean, are your golfers playing other sports in Hamilton? Or 3-sport athlete like you is not as normal as it once was.
Rarely. Yeah. Yep. Rarely. It's just, it's a bigger time commitment than it used to be, more competitive than it used to be. Yeah. So I do have a few that have played 2 sports. Golf is a fall and spring sport, which makes it tough. But our athletes are involved in so much at Hamilton, and being an alum, but even more so in the last 5-10 years, there is so much to do and take advantage of on campus. I think there are like 300 clubs now. I can't imagine what they all are, but clubs and intramural sports, and groups, and leadership opportunities and trips, and there's so much to do at Hamilton, and our athletes really take advantage of those, especially in the off season. And I can't believe all the wonderful things they're involved in at Hamilton on the campus. Pretty neat.
And how are your athletes staying engaged and active with their season, the fall season getting wiped out? And I imagine it's not looking great for the spring either.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a blow. I mean, we found out we weren't going to have a spring season probably 24 hours before we left on our spring training trip to Florida, which is a real highlight. So, I certainly recognize there are much larger problems in the world right now than athletics. At the same time, that's kind of our world, and certainly mourning the the loss of competition and trips and being able to travel off campus to practice. But, you quickly switch your focus to trying to create an environment that's safe, that's positive, that's family-like, to give them something to look forward to. And so we were fortunate that we were able to still practice.
Mm-hmm.
But practices looked a lot different than they do in a regular season.
Yeah.
Both in terms of intensity and in terms of safety precautions. But we're also lucky we have that brand new state-of-the-art practice facility right on campus. It's unbelievable. I don't know when the last time you were on the hill was, but
before that was built. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you come, you got to come check it out.
I will.
It's amazing.
I will.
It's a full range with 2 different tee boxes, a huge 14,000 square foot putting green,
wow.
Wedge area, 2 indoor hitting bays with heat and light and Wi-Fi. So it's
given where you're located, it's not like there's ample great days in the spring to get outside and practice and play. So I guess that facility gets a lot of use.
That is true. And we are actually also constructing an indoor facility as we speak that should be done February 15th. And
wow.
With putting in a TrackMan simulator and social space, it's going to be really neat.
Wow.
I've paired with the research department lit in the library. We put together a collaboration project with that is going to be really neat, really innovative, not just for golfers, but using the data from the TrackMan to be able to do all sorts of things. We hope from incorporating it into classes to using the data for senior thesis projects. It should be pretty neat. But yes, our indoor facilities are getting an upgrade as well, which is good.
When do you think that'll roll out?
Soon. February 15th is our hope. So
wow.
It's coming at a really good time for our athletes to have something new and positive. And as they said, without the ability to leave campus, we have that awesome practice facility, but it's tough to be able to see that you're improving without being able to play golf holes.
Right.
Where this will give the athletes the opportunity to play courses, which is pretty neat.
Just heartbreaking for seniors, to get their final season wiped out, and even for first year students coming in to not get a sense of what normalcy looks like. It's just I can't. My heart breaks for the students to go through this.
Yeah, I think that all the time because I think about even how hard it is for me. Someone that loves the competition and the team. But then I try to remember that their time is so finite. They only have 4 years to do what they love. So it is, you feel for them. And as I said, we're just trying to give them the best experience possible. And Hamilton has done a really great job managing the pandemic for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever think back to your time as a student and rely on your specific Hamilton experience as a way to inform how you talk to your athletes?
Definitely. Yeah. I'm really glad that I had that student athlete experience so that I can put myself in their shoes. So I do. I think back to those times often because, they are so mature. At the same time, you have to really remember what it was like to be 18 and 19 and to be away from home in a new environment and to be taking, classes at an intense level and, and try to be successful at so many different things. But they do it beautifully.
Do you ever have to say, you have all this you have all these amazing facilities. Shut up! I had to drive myself down the throughway and get to another match.
Yes, maybe not in so many words, but yes, I think, my gosh, you are so fortunate. Yeah, here we are traveling and eating at Olive Garden, staying at the Hampton Inn, and it's not so bad. Going down to Johns Island for spring training, we have it pretty good.
Wow. Do you ever take a step back and think back to those days and how far that program has come? I mean, again, I've said it before, but you've seen it all through the course of that program. It's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. And it's happened rather quickly, but I'm so happy to be a part of it. I'm very fortunate that I'm in my dream job at my alma mater, and able to see it come so far in such a short amount of time has been really rewarding.
So when are we going to see a championship? What's the outlook for the future for the program?
Yeah, we're so close. We're so close. Yeah. We had qualified for the NESCAC championship last fall, hoping to compete last spring, which didn't happen. But yeah, I'd argue that we have one of, if not the best, men's team in the conference right now. We've got some great young athletes and some returning athletes, and the program has gotten so much deeper. On any given day, it could be anybody on the team that's traveling, and that kind of inner team competition really has made us quite competitive. So I'm going with, as soon as we can play a NESCAC championship, we'll win it. I think we're right there.
I love
for
it.
Sure. And the women's side, the women's side in general is in the NESCAC is a little behind just because it's newer. And really Hamilton was one of the first teams to have a women's golf team, and there are others now that are jumping on board. So we just had our first NESCAC qualifier last fall, and haven't had a NESCAC championship based on the qualifier yet, but that will be next, hopefully next spring.
How long was the women's program in place before it went varsity?
Let's see. Yeah, well, I did the club program there for 4 years, and then it was taken over for a couple of years. So it's been around 8 years, I'd say.
Okay. Did you meet with any resistance when you started the program?
No, not much. As I said, I've had a lot of people, help me, which has been wonderful. And now it's so nice coaching both teams. It's really something that a lot of most other programs can't say they have. We certainly have a men's golf team at Hamilton and a women's golf team at Hamilton. But we're really under one big family. And I would choose to do it that way 100 times over before I would split the two. They're just a really great group of young men and women that are really close knit, and we're able to do a lot of things with a larger team that a smaller team can't. For example, we do a Ryder Cup type thing that goes throughout the year, where we have a draft party before our spring training trip. We do all sorts of gear. We've got a team buff and a team blue that you've got allegiance to, and compete for that for the Bob Simon Cup throughout the year, which is neat and something that you can't really do with a smaller team. But when you combine the two into one big group, you can, which is pretty neat.
I was going to ask you about Bob Simon. His legacy casts a shadow over that program for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he is a mentor of mine. From high school years, he used to come and watch my games in high school, and wrote my recommendation when I applied to Hamilton, and was a huge mentor for me while I was at Hamilton. Then was an assistant coach on the golf team. And always gave great advice. And if you want to find someone that's passionate about Hamilton and passionate about golf and athletics, he's the guy.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah, we We do. We remember him often, that's for sure. And that the new practice facility that was named in his honor is just such a great tribute to him.
Are there things about the way he ran the program that influenced how you do your job?
Yeah. He always said, just remember, you're trying to coach individuals, not only on golf but in life, and you want them to leave your program a better person than when they they came in. And so that's something that I've tried to remember for sure.
Mm. As you think back, you arriving on campus, not even knowing, or maybe you did, but not even knowing there was going to be a Hamilton women's golf program in your future, into your long future. Is there anything you wish you had known when you started out?
Oh boy, I don't know. Yeah, things seem to happen for a reason, but you're right. I certainly didn't foresee that in my future. But yeah, I'm just lucky that Hamilton gave me a lot of opportunity, and that has certainly been one of them.
All right, that's Lauren Cupp, class of 2007. You know, there's been a lot of discussion on this show about creating things at Hamilton. We've heard stories of people creating clubs or a TV show or a sorority. And I'm truly impressed by anyone who can go and create something on campus. And even more so when it outlives you after you leave the school. But imagine someone like Lauren, and good for her for creating women's golf at Hamilton. And not only has that team lived on after she graduated, but it grew into becoming a varsity sport. And now here she comes back to not only coach that team, but then to take on the full golf program at Hamilton. What a success story. And then to be number one ranked in the world in anything is impressive. Best in the world. I'm excited if I finish first in my family of 4 playing Mario Kart. I can imagine being the best in the world at something. Absolutely incredible. My thanks to Lauren for her time this week. Best of luck to her in chasing that NESCAC championship, and best of luck to her in defending her world title in speed golf. You have been listening to Had I Known on WHCL-FM, Clinton, New York. HadIKnown.buzzsprout.com. Had I Known Show on social media. As always, my thanks to Dr. Michael Woods for supplying the music on the show. And once again, Doc is going to play us out. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you next week.
Had I Known podcast show on your radio or take it to go.